here. Right, because that totally will not work.
No.
Okay, we got some people in the chat already. Here we are, live. Yay, hello everyone, we made it.
Should I have my YouTube thing open?
You don't have to, that's totally up to you, because I will be looking at the chat. That would be my responsibility. Hi everybody. Hello, River, Teresa, Sandra, Myrna, from Alabama, West Virginia, and Argentina. That's awesome, amazing.
Wow.
Hi. Yeah, we're worldwide. This is really great. Yeah, let us know in the chat if you can see me, hear me okay. Hello, Trisha from North Carolina. You can type llama in the chat so that I know we're good. I'll type my name in the chat here too so that you know I'm a real person. Llama, got it. Thanks, River. Okay, so we're good. I was having some concerns because my YouTube was really slow to load today. You know, it's been some weird eclipse retrograde energy these days, so I'm just being hyper careful to make sure we're gonna have a successful live demo here today. All right, awesome. Good. Chat's going. Great. Oh, the lighting is really weird on my face here, so let me see if I can get that working. My name is Marianne with Etchr Lab. I am happy to be your host here today. We have the wonderful, talented Gianluca Callara here with us, as speaking from the UK, if I remember right. Yes, yeah. And Gianluca will be demonstrating how he renders a rose petal for us today. We have the reference photos in the description of this video. If you are unable to find it, I also have a direct link, and I can post that in the chat. Just let me know. And so just to reiterate that today's demo is not a step-by-step tutorial. That's what the workshop is for, and Gianluca will be doing a workshop with us, and we're very excited to do that. So if you like what you're seeing here today and would like to learn more from Gianluca, please sign up for the mini workshop and you'll get a more in-depth step-by-step treatment to learn his particular rendering style. Okay. And then again, we do these free online demos pretty much every day now. So if you would like to, if you haven't already, subscribe to our YouTube channel and turn on your notifications to stay up to date and be alerted when we go live. That's the notification is the bell. So make sure you click on that. The next one we have is tomorrow, June 11th, with Arte composing loose watercolor bouquets at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Alrighty. And if this is your first time with Etchr, you're welcome to ask questions for Gianluca throughout the process. So please all caps the word question and type your question in the chat so that I can see it clearly. And then I will collect your questions and ask them to Gianluca at the right time. All right. Okay. I think I've talked enough. So Gianluca, I am going to go ahead and bring it on over to you and you can take it from here.
Thank you so much, Miriam. I'm so grateful to be here. Hello, everyone. Please leave your questions and your comments. I'd love to hear from you. So today we're working on this rose petal. Here is a finished version. So it will be something like this. In this painting, I only used 2 pigments. So I only used permanent rose and lemon yellow, and I got to mix some really nice kind of coral colors, some oranges, and then that bright pink from the permanent rose. So it's not that hard. It looks kind of complicated, but it's not. Here's another example. This is what I'll be doing in my workshop, or something very similar to this. So you'll learn from how to work on a rose petal and then how to actually, make a rosebud kind of thing.
Okay.
So
isn't that beautiful? Oh my gosh, you guys should let us know how entirely gorgeous that was in the chat.
So I'm starting off straight away to get really into it. I put my sketch down with some tracing paper. I sometimes draw out my paintings from the reference picture, but a lot of the time I just get some tracing paper and just trace directly from an image from my laptop, because it just saves so much time. And my part is the painting, not the drawing, So what I'm doing now, I'm wetting the paper with clean water, getting it really wet, because I'm going to do a process called wet on wet. When you have wet pigment and then wet paper, so everything can just spread really beautifully on the paper.
So you cover the whole petal shape with the water then?
Yeah, I'm covering all the inside parts. So any parts with the rose that are are turning over, I'm leaving that dry because I'll do that separately.
Got it.
So I'm just doing this is called a wash or a base wash.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm using a size 10 round brush. You can use any brand, it doesn't really matter. This is just a cheap one. Just something to really get the paper really wet. And I'm using hot press paper. Hot press paper is a lot nicer to work on for botanical illustration because it's really smooth, and this is 100% cotton, so there's no like pulp or anything in here. That kind of paper is fine, but I like to work on really high quality paper because
Yeah.
the painting just turns out just really nice.
Yeah.
So that's pretty wet. Now let's work with some pigments. So I want to show you this chart quickly, which I did earlier.
Oh, love it. Yes.
I didn't scan this after. So I use permanent rose and lemon yellow. Permanent rose is from Winsor and Newton, and it's PV19 pigment, and lemon yellow is from Sennelier, which is PY3. And then I just made all these different shades from those two colors. And then down here is quinacridone red from Winsor and Newton, which is PR209. And that's if I need to use that color for more saturated red. So we're going to try and make some of these colors in the rose petal today.
I love that you did that. That's so great.
Just working with the big brush for now. At this stage, you can cover a lot of ground quite fast. So this is where you kind of need to work fast. So really kind of getting pigments and a bit of Sennelier yellow. And when I look at my reference picture, I'm going to start with the darkest in the top corner first. So just really some pure. I'm just going to go right in. And you can already start adding details with the tip of the brush. You want to look at the petal and see the lines of growth, so the veinings, etc. So already you can start doing this kind of brushing process. And that will leave tiny little spaces of white. And you're just building up that pigment and the details underneath. So it's not too complicated.
Right. I found that, like, especially with beginners, the wet on wet technique does have a learning curve in that there's a lot of like brush control and water control and then speed, and then there's all these other like different factors. Yeah.
You need to be fast at this time because already my paper's drying out. So I'm just going to wet it, even if my, just bring that along. And I'm going to start bringing in a different color. And I'm looking at my reference picture as I'm doing this. So really look more at the reference picture than you're doing on the paper. You don't want to make it up. So just like this. And with this rose petal, it's curving. So we want to do, like I said, follow those lines of growth. So kind of do like U shapes. And here's the opposite side. I'm cleaning my brush.
I really love this orange color that you get from mixing the two.
Yeah, it's really, really beautiful. I never used to like orange. I thought orange was a really gross color. But I started to paint and observe it, it is such a gorgeous color. It feels really healing. Like
Yeah.
it feels really yummy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I have a slight bit of synesthesia. So when I come across a color, it feels like an emotion, or things tend to have colors or feelings or textures to it. And
That's
so
true.
orange, I don't know, maybe I had resistance to it before, but now it feels really yummy. It feels like it goes into my stomach area.
I
Uh,
love it.
yeah. So it's really a cool kind of thing
Yeah,
to pick up on.
definitely.
Okay, so
So you're dropping colors here into the previous color that you've
yeah,
already put in.
that's right. Now I'm using a size 5 brush.
Mhm.
This is a really nice brush from Rosemary and Co, which I recently got. It's a synthetic brush. I really don't think we need to be using animal hair in artwork. I think that's so outdated. Um, so synthetic is great. So now I'm just going with pure lemon yellow. And I'm just going to drop this in all here at the bottom. And I'm just looking and kind of branching them off, creating those veins.
Mhm. So this was the pure lemon yellow that you did at the bottom here.
Yeah,
Okay.
pure lemon yellow. And my paper is still kind of wet, so it's a good time to start blending some stuff together. And I'm really using the tip of the brush.
Mhm.
And I want to leave this white as well.
Yeah, I was gonna ask about that. Yeah, was there like a highlight or like a lighter value in that area that you're,
Yeah,
preserving?
yeah. So I'm just leaving that for now. And if anyone has pets and they paint, you'll always find some cat hair. Lovely. Even when you clean everything. So I'm just gonna leave the animal hair for now because I don't want to start disturbing the pigment underneath. So when it dries, I can just brush it off.
Right.
Yeah. Some of this bright pink up here, I'm just gonna now start curving it around just like that. And that kind of lifts some of the pigment and moves it. And it creates some of that nice veining.
Hmm.
And you can play around with these colors just because the reference picture is more like a light pinky, orangey kind of tone. You can go in with whatever kind of colors. You can do reds, whatever you have available or whatever you want to play with.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Gianluca, do you happen to have the reference on a tablet or printed out? We have a question here if it was possible to see it side by side, but
Okay, I do have it printed, but I'm actually looking at the other painting I did beforehand.
oh,
I would
okay.
normally work from my laptop
Okay.
and just on the screen, but if that's okay, like that.
Okay, yeah, that should work. Thank you.
Printed image is a little bit washed out,
Yeah.
um, just because I didn't click the right settings on the printer. But
the the basics there, basic
yeah,
shot.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
So now that kind of rushing has kind of come down
Yeah.
from, now we can just go in with a clean brush. So just water, and I'm dabbing it over here, and I'm just lifting some pigment, just like that. And I'm just gonna take this away because it's puddled too much. Something I've had to learn as a creative is when to give myself a break
Hmm.
and not stress when something is in progress.
Hmm.
And not to judge your self-value over the art that you create,
Yes.
even when it's like in progress, because most of the time a painting doesn't come together until the very end,
Hmm.
and it just looks so weird throughout. And I've always thought, oh my God, I can't paint, but it's just the beginning stage. So if there's any
Right.
beginners out there, just relax.
Yeah.
From experience, relax. It's fine. It really will be fine. And
Yeah.
also, every time you do something, I like to ask myself, what am I doing here? So I'll talk to myself in my head, at least when I'm painting, and ask myself, okay, what am I doing here? Because I'm quite an intuitive creative. Um, and so sometimes I would do things without thinking, but if I had to explain it, I wouldn't really know what the process was.
Hmm.
Or if I do something without thinking, it might not turn out great. Then I ask myself, what am I doing? So then I'm very conscious about the color I mix, where I put my paintbrush. So for any beginners out there, just like really be present when you're painting and don't rush. Don't rush, because there's no need to, and if it doesn't turn out great, then that's fine, because then you can look at it and be like, what did I do wrong?
Right.
Uh, and then just work from there.
Absolutely. Yeah. It does feel overwhelming for beginners, especially when there's so much to learn and there's so much to like get experience from and everything. It does. Yeah, we
Yeah.
get it for sure. Yeah. So hopefully Gianluca's tips here from Gianluca's own experience will help.
So
Yeah.
this is kind of wet now, this area, and I want it to dry a bit before I'm adding another wash on top.
Okay.
So I'm just kind of adding some texture. We really want the sides to curve like that. So
Right.
the back parts are lifting up in a way, and then the
Hmm.
middle bit is rounding over and doming. So it seems really complicated, but just with a sweep of your brush, you can create um, that shadow and that lifting, that three-dimensionality.
Right. So really following the shape as you kind of
Mhm.
see it with the brush strokes really helps to emulate what's going on, I guess.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Um,
Do you use a hair dryer or anything in between layers, Gianluca?
no, no,
Mhm.
I don't. Because you might move the pigment doing that.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, I'm not normally in a rush. So I'm going to leave that for a bit, and then I'm going to do some of these other bits. So like we did before, I'm going to wet it with clean water. A bit of the pigment leaked over into this section here. That's okay. So just gently wetting it, and you want it to not like pool, you want it to soak in.
Mhm.
So just kind of brushing it in. If there's any excess water, just dabbing it off. And so here I'm going to go in with a bit of a thicker pigment actually. So that's quite thick, if you can see there. And then so I've created this kind of like burnt orangey color, which is really, really nice.
Yeah, that's
Um,
lovely.
and I'm looking at my reference picture, and there's more darkness on the outer edge.
Mhm.
So just going along like that. You can see how the pigment wants to move anyway.
Mhm.
And now I'm just going to clean my brush. And it's mostly dry now, the brush. And I'm just going to move it along. Here you can start moving it by, I normally move my paper around a lot when I'm painting, but I don't want to do so now. But feel free at home to move the paper so you're not putting your arm in a weird position. So what I'm doing here, I'm just flicking the paint so it creates that veining.
Mhm.
Um, just bringing this down into here. I'm just going to add a little bit of pink to this too.
It's already starting to kind of like look a little bit more three-dimensional.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, yeah.
So are there any questions at all?
Yeah. We have about 40 people watching and the chat's been going, but I'm not seeing too many questions other than that reference question. So please feel free, everybody, to ask whatever you'd like for Gianluca. If you would like to see something or hear Gianluca explain something a little bit more in detail.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, and then we do have the mini workshop example too. Let me post the link to the mini workshop there. If you're liking what you're seeing and want to learn more about painting roses, which I think will be super fun, please sign up for the mini workshop. And all the details are on that link right there that I just posted in the chat. Yep. Okay, so it looks like you're moving on to the other fold up there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I'm just gonna again bring this water down. This time it's a bit more pinker than orange.
Mhm.
So just adjusting my mix. So just checking. Yeah. So again, the top edge is darker. And you
Mhm.
can see how the pigment moves because the paper is wet.
Yeah.
And that just makes it a bit easier for it to blend nicely. If instead you're doing wet on dry, which is another term, technique,
Mhm.
it's harder to blend nicely. So just bringing that across. And I'm just like doing flicks, little lines, just like that. And I'm going to clean my brush. I'm going to go in with a little bit of a smaller brush. So maybe a size 1 here.
Mhm.
And then just bring this down a little bit.
Are these brushes synthetic or natural hair brushes, or do you have a preference for either?
Yeah, synthetic.
Synthetic.
Yeah, yeah. These are synthetic. Um, what's that? That's a specific type of brush, sable brush.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, which they use. I'm not sure, mink hair maybe, um, or
Yeah.
squirrel hair, and I don't really understand why. If you can have a brush that hasn't caused death and harm, just use this one. So yeah, so synthetic all the way. And then so I'm adding the darker color at the top edge.
Right.
And then it's now already looking like it's bending forward, this petal.
It is. It's really lovely. Yeah.
And I'm just going in with clean water and I'm just kind of softening that blend because you
Mhm.
want to see the lines, but you don't want to see the edge to the lines. So,
Mhm.
so they're more blended, if that makes sense. And this, it can look complicated at first. Like when I first started to try paint botanicals,
Uh-huh.
I really thought there was so much involved. Like, wow, there's so much detail. It isn't. It isn't. It's an illusion, really. We're creating illusions on paper.
Basically,
Um,
yeah.
and we're just playing with the light and with texture and color,
Mhm.
and that your mind just automatically then generates that image in your head. But
Mhm.
yeah, it's not as detailed as you think it is really,
Mhm.
which is great because then beginners can start playing around with that.
Right, right. Yeah. Um, we have a question here about paints. You mentioned the two colors we're using is a Winsor Newton and a Sennelier, right? Um, somebody was asking if you wouldn't mind going over the other paints in your palette, or
Yeah.
you have a list or something like that. And do you just only do florals?
I do wildlife, so a lot of birds and a lot of flowers.
Yeah.
That's the main subject matter. I don't do portraits of people. I don't think I can, to be honest.
Yeah.
So my paints, I use 3 different kind of companies:
Uh-huh.
Winsor & Newton, Sennelier, and Daniel Smith.
Hmm.
Um, some colors I like from them, some colors I don't, from all 3 really.
Hmm.
I use mainly my Sennelier palette, which is this, and it's I think it's 12 pan. So 3 blues, 3 yellows, then it moves into orange, pinks, and a purple.
Hmm.
Um, these are the Billy Scholl. She's a botanical artist in England. She's quite well known for her work,
Yeah.
and she collaborated with them to create a set that she uses. And so I thought, instead of me trying to look for all these pigments and figuring it out myself, why not just use a set already made that is used for botanical art anyway from a real
Hmm.
professional. So I just purchased that. And I do like the pigments in that. Some of the colors I don't like, and they just don't have the vibrancy that I thought they would. And
Yeah.
some of them aren't, they can fade over time.
Yeah. The light fastness isn't
Yeah, the light fastness. And I don't really understand the point in having pigments that don't kind of stand
right.
the time. So I like some of those colors. I really enjoy this lemon yellow. I have some lemon yellow here
Hmm.
from Winsor and Newton, and it's just not it. It's, well, I'm going to be cleaning that out of my palette. It doesn't have the vibrancy as this yellow does. It's
Hmm.
very opaque, this yellow, Winsor and Newton's yellow.
Yeah.
Um, and I prefer transparent colors for watercolor because you want to build up those nice layers.
Right. Right.
When when something's too opaque and thick, it can create a lot of flatness in an image, and we don't want our paintings being flat.
Right.
Um, Also, I've been, especially this year, been mixing a lot of my own colors and greens, especially because I use a lot of greens. I have some greens here, but now that I've started to mix my own greens, I can see how flat a pre-mixed green is,
Hmm.
and how if you are using a tube green or a bought ready-made green, it's good to just kind of change it up a little bit as you're using it. So
Yeah.
maybe add a little bit more yellow, a little dot of red, or some more blue somehow, just to kind of adjust it to what you're painting. So it's not all the greens in all your artwork are the same green.
Right. Right.
Same with every pigment, really.
What was the name of that artist you said that put together that palette? Sennelier.
Billy Billy Scholl,
Billy Scholl.
Scholl, so Showell, I think.
Showle.
ELL, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
I think she's the head of the botanical art community in England. So she's like the head teacher of all botanical illustrations in the UK.
Mhm.
Um,
I think I spelled it correctly in the chat, but anybody can, if you
yeah.
want to correct me and Google it, let me know. And then about the paper, you mentioned that hot press is your go-to
Yeah.
because of the smoothness. Is there a brand of paper as well that you have a preference for?
Um, Actually, the Etchr's Lab,
Ah,
this notebook, it's got really nice paper. I use this notebook for color swatches because it's nice to have a place where they are all at. So if for a future painting I want to be like, how did I make that color? Then I can go back and see, oh, it's this. And the paper's really good because it feels the same as the painting I'm going to work on, or the paper the painting I'm
oh,
going to work on. And this is the best sketchbook I've ever used paper-wise. I've used some other ones from another brand. I
yeah,
don't know if I have them in America. I won't say them. I don't want to bash them, but that's just not, yeah, not great paper. Hot pressed is best for detailed work.
yeah,
I
yeah,
used to use cold press paper, but it would have too much texture to it. So it
yeah.
would just add a lot of shadow. in areas because the paper kind of goes in. So there'll be loads of little, it just seems darker because there's more kind of shadows being cast on the paper.
Right.
The brand I'm using now is Legions, I believe it's called.
Legion, Stonehenge, okay.
Yeah, Stonehenge Aqua Hot Press. This is so nice.
Mm-hmm.
It makes the watercolors just melt together so beautifully. Really,
Nice.
really nice. And it's pretty affordable.
And it's 100% cotton, you said, this one?
100% cotton, hot pressed. So it's very smooth. And the painting behind me is also 100% cotton, hot pressed. And it's from Archers. And it's quite thick. It's 300 GSM, the same with this. I think that's very important. The paper thickness is important. So you want that heavy weight paper. You can also get 600 GSM paper. I've never tried that because I don't think I use that much water. But for people who like to work quite wet, then having thicker paper like that will stop it from buckling.
Yeah.
And this pad is gummed, so the edges are stuck down, so I don't need to tape anything.
Right.
So when I'm done, I'll just get a knife and I'll just kind of cut it off the pad.
Yeah.
Separate the glue, and it comes off nicely. And then I have a nice flat painting.
Yeah.
Whereas the one behind me, because it's so large, I'll have to stretch it, which I'm a little bit nervous about doing because I haven't done that before.
Yeah, they might not be able to see that because I have your one video
Okay.
highlighted, but yeah, we can definitely take a look back to your camera so they can see the painting behind you. Yeah, and if you don't mind showing them some close-ups of the petal at some point, I think they'd like to see some of those veins and details if you're up for it.
The one I'm painting?
Yeah, of the petal that you're painting here.
Okay, cool. Let me just blend this in.
Yeah, it's already like it's just so delicate how those folds are kind of just slowly like coming alive. It's beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So really it's the same kind of technique. You just do it all over, either on a large, like more larger, or more kind of smaller.
Yeah. And you always start with a wash of water and
Yeah.
then going in with the paint.
At
Yeah.
least for the very first time I'm going to place pigment on the paper. You just want it nice and smooth. Painting. So a painting like this, it did take me about an hour to do the other one the other day. But I don't know if this is just me or all creatives are like this. I get distracted really easily.
I'm so sorry, Gianluca, for distracting you.
No, this is fine. So normally it would take me some time to do paintings because
Yeah.
So I guess that's just a creative mind, right?
I think so, and not to yeah, and I'm just gonna like I think I'm mildly ADD, so I do get distracted by noise too. That was kind of my thing. So I'm constantly just wearing like noise canceling headphones when I'm painting because I need just 1 hour, for example, of just uninterrupted painting time to allow me to hyper focus and allow me to do that. Not that I'm saying and, if you're easily distracted, that's the case. But for me, that was how I kind of like dealt with it, because my mind is also already going like a million miles a minute too, the distractions and whatnot. I don't know if that's the case for you, Gianluca.
I haven't been diagnosed, but I have suspected I'm somewhat on the spectrum somehow because
Yeah.
I've read up about it and I was like, oh, I have that. Oh, I do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and it just means, we're wired a little bit differently, and we just need to figure out how to manage it, when we want to work and
Yeah.
put something, make something.
Yeah.
So this petal then normally it took you about an hour, right, when you did your
Yeah, I did this one fairly quick the other
Mhm.
day, which was okay. But a normal size painting, if I'm doing like a big thing, that would take me all day, maybe 2 days.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because I want to take my time with it really.
Right,
A
right.
bit faster, but I'm not in a rush when I'm
Right.
at
You
home.
don't want to be rushed. You want to allow
Yeah,
yourself to really be present and
enjoy the process.
Mhm.
Especially if I'm working on a commission.
Yeah.
Do accept everyone. um, I want to make sure it's good.
Hmm.
So, you know, want to put some more love and care and attention into it.
Hmm.
So down here, you might not be able to see because, all right, let me bring it closer.
Ooh, love this. Thank you for the close up. Yeah.
Is that clear?
Yeah, that's really clear. Let me know in the chat if it's not clear for you. I
So,
think, yeah, I think it's good though.
perfect. I'm just gonna mix a more orangey color down here as it goes more to the yellow.
Oh,
So it's more pinky up here. Sorry, I can't see.
yeah, your hand is kind of, yeah. Hmm.
It's more kind of this, what color is this? Reddishy kind of color,
Uh-huh.
corally, and then it goes to more of an orangey color down here.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna, and I didn't wet this surface because it's so small. There isn't this point.
There's no point really.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's no point. And then just with some yellow.
Yeah. We got people who are absolutely loving this. They're like, it's like you could pick up and smell the rose scent.
Oh wow.
That's beautiful.
You know, sometimes I think this is that synesthesia. When I'm painting a specific flower,
Yeah.
I can smell it in the space, even if it's not in my space.
That's so cool. Yeah.
Which is really fun sometimes.
Yeah, I'm sure the synesthesia definitely adds a lot of character in your life, when you're
Yeah,
working on these things.
it's funny. So,
So after you do like this first wash, you mentioned transparency because, it's important for you to do the layers and stuff. How many layers do you tend to do?
um,
Depend on the colors you
yeah,
or
depending on how dark it is, anywhere between at least 2 to 3,
okay.
mm, and then maybe around 5, because I really want it saturated at the end. I want
Okay.
to really kind of refine it. Some people were really good at doing very loose, soft washes and having almost a fully formed image. Um, but I really like to almost use watercolors like it's gonna look like an acrylic painting after,
Mm-hmm.
like to really render it. Um, yeah, so here I'm just adding some more pigment and it's fairly dry now underneath. So this, I guess, is a second layer, but just adding more details.
Okay, yeah.
And this is a little bit too white still, so I'm just gonna blend that very top.
Yeah.
Okay, so now that's fairly covered.
Hmm.
I'm then gonna go back and use my size 5 brush. And I'm not gonna wet it all over now. I'm gonna wet um, the area that I'm gonna do.
Okay.
Makes sense? So I'm gonna do almost like spot treatment, so go around the page and not do the whole thing at
Okay.
once. So I'm mixing myself some more pigment and it's gonna be a bit thicker this time. A thing in watercolor is at the beginning, the more watery it is, and as you move on, as you render it more, the thicker the pigment is going to be.
Hmm.
So I'm actually going to go in on dry paper now, and then I
Yeah.
can blend it out. So I'm going to go in and just looking at my reference because we want to darken these bits up because it's darker there, and it will make the petal that's curving round pop more.
Wow. Yeah. Just a time check for you, Gianluca. We're at 42 minutes in, I think. So we got 20, 25 minutes left of painting.
Okay, let's do this.
Got it. Yes, we got it.
So I'm doing kind of brushing technique.
Yeah. You do this like feathering,
Yeah,
yeah, into the center of the petal
yeah,
often. Yeah.
exactly. And now I'm wetting my brush a bit more, so then I don't leave any hard edges anywhere. And
Hmm.
then
I may have missed it, but did you do a wet of just water before you went into the darker pigment, or did you just go straight with?
I went straight onto dry paper.
Got it. Got it.
Yeah, to get that intensity.
Hmm.
I could have put a wash down, a clean wet wash, but it's okay. I didn't need to. And now with just a wet brush, it has a little bit of pigment on. I'm moving this down so it's. I wish I was left-handed, but so it doesn't leave any hard edges.
Yeah. No,
Going.
it's nice because we could when your hand happens to be at the angle, we could see like the brush and the pigment and the painting at the same time. It's very beautiful, very nice. I feel like we're getting such a treat looking
Oh,
at you. Yeah.
so now this is just water to really kind of blend that in.
Hmm.
And I'm really looking at my reference picture here.
Yeah, Marty had a good question about the pencil lines. Are your pencil lines usually this dark, or was it just for the demo,
I
or do you?
left I left them so you could see
Okay.
more.
Got
Also, sometimes I forget to rub them out, but because I go so thick with the paint, you won't see them after
Okay.
because
Okay.
pigment will be covering it up. If I was doing a very, very light wash, then I would need to erase the pencil marks
Okay.
because you would see through the lightness of the pigment.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I hope that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I'm doing the same thing over here on dry paper.
Is this the quinacridone red, or are you still using permanent?
Yeah, I haven't used the quinacridone red at all actually.
You are okay.
I haven't used
Oh,
that.
you haven't. You haven't. You haven't.
No, I'm using the mix between permanent rose and the lemon yellow,
Got it. Got it. Mhm.
which creates a very similar color to quinacridone red actually.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's really important for creatives to start mixing their own colors to see how color works.
Hmm.
So it's taught me so much by starting to mix my own pigments. Um, it's just really helpful. It really trains your eye.
Yes.
Maybe if you went to art school or something like that, they would do that there, but I never did.
Hmm.
So I'm really self-taught and just learnt loads from YouTube.
Yeah.
Um, and just practicing. Practicing is so important. Like exercise, you can't be fit and strong if you don't actually do it.
Right.
Right. So yeah. So
Absolutely.
now I've washed my brush and I'm just bringing this down.
Hmm. Mm. We got a couple people signing up for your workshop, so this is exciting. Yay.
So much, everyone. And we'll
It'll
have
be a
more
fun
time.
one. Yeah. Hmm.
We'll have more time to explore these techniques as well.
Yeah.
So here with I don't know if you can see that. It's kind of a light wash here still, but I'm brushing this the kind of diluted version of this color down in here
Hmm.
because you want to give that curve. So really, there's just loads of feathering happening.
Yeah,
There's
it's a
a lot
lot of
of
feathering.
colours.
Yeah.
Do people who are watching think they can do this? If they answered in the comments, like this is not a hard technique, is it? Just got to look at where the lines of growth are on the petal, the veining, and just place it in a similar area. Like, I wouldn't say this is exact at all, and it doesn't need to be. So I used to always put pressure on myself, like it doesn't look exactly the same.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, wait, but that's okay. But
Yeah.
it doesn't need to be. No one's saying if it doesn't look exactly the same, then it's not a rose petal or it's not this subject. So yeah, give yourself a break.
Yeah, yeah. Don't put that pressure on yourself. You know, we're
Yeah.
not cameras, right?
Yeah.
To do something so exact. Um,
So
yeah.
going,
So you're just deepening the colors here.
yeah, I'm
All
working really to curve the top part more.
right, right.
So working on the darkest kind of colors.
Hmm.
Yes.
River says you make it look so easy.
Thank you. No, but honestly, it is. It's achievable. It's just brushing, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Maybe we can kind of not psycho, but like reverse engineer it a bit. When you're
Yeah.
picking up the pigment and then you're feathering it out, are you picking up water? Are you,
No,
dabbing or anything at all on your
no,
paper towel?
just because I've zoomed in, you can't really see my palette anymore.
Yeah, yeah. There we go. Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
don't know. I don't want to mess up the. I'll just zoom in still, but I'll just speak it. So I'm adding water if it needs to. I need to, but right now it's fine. So
Okay.
everything's still pretty wet, paint wise.
Hmm.
But when I'm coming further down, then
Hmm.
I'm kind of just cleaning my brush. I'm not picking up any more color.
Uh-huh.
So I'm like just diluting and slowly bringing it down the pigment so it's
Right.
softer because you're moving into more of a whitish yellow here,
Hmm.
or I guess a lighter pink, whereas the top bit is very saturated, I think.
Hmm.
So now what I'm doing, I wet my brush a little bit, I dabbed it, so it's not fully cleaned, and it's not soaking wet, but it's just um, slightly moist, and
Hmm.
continuing that feathering. So I'm just bringing that down, just like that. Okay, now I'm going to mix some more of a orangey color. So again, permanent rose, this time more lemon yellow, because we want to get the orangey shadowy color. And it's not going to be as saturated, it's going to be more wetter. Okay. So here we want to curve like this. I'm actually going to change my brush to a smaller brush too.
We got more people signing up, letting us know in the chat. That's so awesome. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. You're inspiring a lot of people to try out how you're painting, and that's just awesome.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
I love when I feel inspired creatively. So I'm really grateful that I can share that spark, that flame of inspiration.
Yeah, absolutely. Like this is just it's like the same thing throughout the entire petal and then just doing more layers on top. It's
Yeah,
like
that's
not
it.
rocket science, right? Um, and at the same time, it's just so magical to see it come together like this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really just you're just using the same technique.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and the way I do this is the way I paint feathers or fur.
Oh, yes.
It's really small brush strokes.
Right, right.
So to create veining on leaves, or even petals. It's very similar to working with fur and feathers. You just want to do these tiny little lines.
And building them up, right? Yeah.
Building them up, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at least that's how I do them, and it works. So I mean, there are many different techniques out there that different artists use to create realism, but this is the way that I've kind of figured it out so far. And another thing is my painting style is always growing and changing as I grow and
Right.
change, which I think is fantastic.
Yeah.
It's never stagnant, and it shows you like our improvement. And I love that. I love looking back at the end of a year and comparing my work from this year to the year before. And it,
Yes.
you can see so much growth, and that really excites me.
Absolutely.
I kind of get really geeky and like just love that. Wow, I'm actually where I wanted to be as a kid. I'm finally starting to paint like that,
Yeah.
you know? So
Yeah.
just believe in yourself, like I actually can do it. Like you can't, people say, no, I can't do that because of they don't have experience or their age or whatever. And it's like, no, just start doing it and it will happen.
Absolutely. We get in life lessons and stuff here in addition to watercolor techniques from Gianluca
Mhm.
today.
So I apologize because every time I say something, I always want it to be empowering,
Yeah, yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
because
I
I
know.
think, sorry,
Go ahead, go ahead.
I think the journey of being an entrepreneur and a creative, or even just a person, it's a journey of coming back to yourself and
Hmm.
questioning, wait, where is this belief coming from? Especially as an artist, right? When you're painting something and you hear that voice in your head, it's like, this is so bad. Like, who do you think you are? What are you trying to prove to yourself? At least there's some of those thoughts of mine. You have to really be like, no, whoa, where's that from? This is just a painting. This isn't that serious, you know? And then there's so much healing that can happen by exposing yourself to stuff that you feel like you can't control, maybe, but you can then actually can control it. Um, yeah, so
Yeah, no, I love that. And thanks so much for being so generous and you know, unapologetic about, you know, talking about what empowers you,
yeah,
you know, in your own art journey and life journey and such, you know, and then how that translates into, you know, of course, your love and your passion for painting
cool.
here. So yeah, no, we love it. I love it. I'm all for it.
I'm a massive self-improvement kind of person. Like I love going in, meditating,
Mhm.
asking myself, where does this come from? Just that whole kind of self-help.
Yeah.
I'm gonna lift this up a bit so that my paintbrush can fit underneath. So just not by the light.
Yeah, no, that's good. We got a good chunk of juicy details there, so this is great. Somebody did ask the size of the brush that you're using now.
This one is a size 5, size 3,
Size 3. Okay,
and that's the tip. Move a bit
got it.
heavy. So I'm just going back into this corner and I'm changing the colors slightly as well. So they're not all just the same mix.
Mm-hmm.
So now this is a bit more orangey, like a burnt orange, almost like a blood orange kind of color. Um, yeah, and just doing the same techniques.
I'm going to read you some of the beautiful comments here in the chat. Teresa says, not a lot of people have the gift to explain something in such detail. Gianluca certainly has that gift.
Wow. Thank you.
Isn't that beautiful? And then Bev says, I love how chatty Gianluca is.
Good. I love that. I didn't want to come onto the show and just sit in silence. I think
Yeah.
helpful, educational, and entertaining.
Absolutely. Absolutely. River says, I beat myself so much. I appreciate hearing how he feels.
Honestly, some days are just like that, and you just have to be okay with that because even on our journey of self-improvement, we are not broken, even though we feel broken. We are still whole. We are still in our wholeness, even on those days where we feel just not at all. Um, and I think that's really important to know that, okay, I truly am whole, but I'm on my journey to fully feeling that on my day, in my daily life.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of having those two perspectives at once, I think is very important.
Mm-hmm.
um, to know, okay, I'm not there yet, but truly I am actually there. There's nowhere to go. It's just here and it's now. But my job is to remove those limitations, those limiting beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
Where
Mm-hmm.
did they stem from? And I think that is so important to create good art as well. Um, is to know thyself, or to at least, do you know what I mean? Because
I absolutely know what you mean. Yeah, yeah. The you said know thyself, and I was just actually thinking about that too. And just to kind of uh, piggyback off of what you're saying, it's there's a lot of, whether it's art making or even just like
living
working on your own personal self development. You need to be able to know how to step back from outside yourself, and looking at yourself, like peeling off layers and
uh-huh.
kind of like understanding how your own brain works requires you to kind of step outside of your own brain to kind of look at it for a bit, if that makes any sense at all.
100%.
And so yeah, all this stuff about using uh, questioning where these stories are coming from, for example, or where this voice is getting this story that is playing inside your head right now.
Yeah.
All very interesting, and how um, and I'm getting really blabby, but that does show up in your art sometimes, if you let that voice kind of
Oh,
dictate, how you should be producing.
100%. I've noticed when I have a commission,
Hmm.
it always somehow I always mess it up. Well, I don't mess it up, but it doesn't turn out the way I want it to do. And
Hmm.
I think it's because I put so much pressure on myself to create
Hmm.
something amazing because someone's paid for it.
Yeah, yeah.
When I'm painting for myself and for a project I'm working on for my own self, Oracle cards, um,
Hmm.
they just turn out so much better because I dropped that pressure because I'm like, okay, if I've messed this up, I can start again. And I don't mess up normally. I never
Hmm.
have to restart a painting, which I'm happy about. Um, but when it comes to commissions, because there's that extra pressure, it's like, okay, is that rejection? I think it's like, oh my god, will they like it? Will they hate it?
Right,
Um,
that fear. Yeah.
am I an imposter? Like that whole thing. And I
That
think
whole
it's important for people to know because if
yeah.
you want to be successful in anywhere in life, and I think success is really emotional freedom,
Mm.
and emotional, um, like learning how to navigate the emotional system.
Hmm.
That's when I feel success happens in
Hmm.
all areas because you already feel, you know yourself. So if you know yourself, there's nothing to prove to others or the world or to yourself through like the amount of money you make or if my painting turns out good, because that's not a reflection of who I am really, because I'm good, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
just take myself up. I mean, but it's always a journey. So
Yeah.
read.
So and I know we want to wrap up here pretty soon. We are at the hour, but just to kind of go back to the commission thing and the pressure that you put on yourself, have you figured out a solution for that yet, or where
Just
are
chill
you at with
out. I'll just chill out.
that?
I'm so grateful that someone's believed in me because they believe in me to pay me, uh, to pay me to create a piece of art. They literally want my work in their home, in their sacred space.
Yeah.
See that, and that kind of like, okay, so I do have it. If they've already paid for my service, then I must have had it when they saw it to purchase it. You know,
Hmm.
so just kind of letting that go, and it takes practice. So the more you paint, obviously, the better you get, and then the more confidence you have, and the less that voice can bother you. And then also meditating and doing and child work is really powerful. But what I did here is I just went over with some clean water with a big brush to blend everything in a bit. And it kind of has made the adding these tiny lines a bit nicer to work on a little bit of moist paper. So if you're struggling to do the blending on dry paper, then just wet it and let it soak in. So it's not too wet where the pigments spread out, but it's wet enough for there to be a seamless blend. And I'm darkening by just adding more layers over it. And I'm keeping these whites here. I don't want to like fully cover them, but the way it will be covered is with the lines, the veinings. So it looks like a highlight. Are there any other questions?
Doesn't look like any other questions so far other than people saying that they signed up for your workshop
Lovely.
and that they resonate with a lot of what your thinking process is. And it's just all love in the chat. So if you get a chance to read back the chat later on your own time, it's just all love for you, Gianluca.
So sweet. I would
Yeah.
love if everyone could just go to my Instagram and give me a follow there. That's where I'm most active. That's where I announce things. It's just
Uh-huh.
me at Gianluca Callara, where I share my commissions, where people can book as well for things. And I share loads of tips on my stories too, because I just want to help empower people and be like, okay, you can do this. If I can do this, you can do this. And I share a lot about gardening as well because I love gardening. I
Hmm.
trained as a horticulturalist at college, so I guess it's a gardener, but like a
Yeah.
qualified gardener. I had to learn a lot about soil science, loads of Latin names and stuff like that. So I really love taking care of plants and growing flowers and stuff, and fruits and veg. So I've always had this love and fascination with plants, and it just kind of shows you like, wow, there is harmony in this universe because look at this gorgeous rose that has just bloomed from the earth, you know. And that really gets my creativity flowing is being in nature. So when you're stressed, go outside, take your shoes off, be with nature and the birds. You know, I think that's super important. And it's all part of because creativity isn't just painting a picture; it's a way of life. It's who you are. And I think if everyone's watching, we are all creative beings. I mean, everyone truly is, but they might show that in different ways. But creativity is something that you need to live by and not just a job. And it's not just the painting, it's the way you express yourself, the way that you see the world, etc. Um, I think creativity is seeing the world from a place of innocence sometimes, especially for me. Like seeing that empowered state of nature and whoa, like the sun and the soil and the rain did this. Like that is cool.
I just love how your study and college and whatnot, and then how it shows up here in your art too is just so much appreciation for like like I can hear it when you describe it, the fascination for the life and for the things that nature creates.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very evident in your like philosophy, I guess, for
Yeah.
life, for creativity, for art, all that.
Yeah. Like when I create, I want to bring that energy of life. Like nature is life, you know, like
Mhm.
life force energy. I want to bring that life energy, that living, like we are living and it's so beautiful and it's such a gift. And let's really enjoy the abundance of life that is existing right now with us.
Mhm.
And I want my illustrations to have that energy of aliveness, um, you know,
Yeah.
um, that life force energy, that maybe that soul, that character.
Yeah. So just to kind of go back to your painting real quick, we are going a little bit over time, but we can go a little over time, a little bit more. That's not a problem. How are you wrapping things up here? Are you still kind of just adding more layers, or like what's your process here now?
Yeah, so right now I've again wet the paper again to just get everything blended seamlessly.
Uh-huh.
Um, it looks okay, right? I would need to add a lot more details here to really curve that shape up, which I can do now.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's looking so good. Everyone is already so like, you know, everyone's saying that it's so delicate. They love the delicacy of the petal.
let's see.
Um, yeah, it's looking great to
This
us anyway.
this side is more finished than this side. Um,
Okay.
I'm not sure if I will completely finish it.
Yeah. Would you be okay with posting this on your Instagram? But we got a couple of people here saying that they're following you now.
Yeah,
Um,
thank you so much. I'll definitely post the finished picture today.
Awesome. Awesome. That'd be so good. Yeah. So if you guys haven't already followed Gianluca, I posted the handle here in the chat. I'll post it one more time. And oh, I am so sorry, Mary. Yeah, I have a very noisy cat. It's one of my cats. She's been very chatty and wanted attention. I've been trying to distract her so she doesn't get so noisy over the demo. And I'm so sorry that she wasn't quiet enough for the chat.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's fine.
yeah. It's
And
it's the way of life these days, virtually in COVID times. Um, but yeah, anyway, just so that I don't get distracted here, we'll wrap this up pretty soon. Gianluca can kind of let us know how he'll finish it up. But yeah, follow him on Instagram so that you can see what the finished petal will look like. And if you really dug what he had offered today, please sign up for the mini workshop. You'll get a lot more out of it. We're still kind of working out details, but it will be a little bit more of a bud, right? With
yeah,
some stems. Yeah,
yeah.
so you'll get a little bit more with it.
So,
But yeah.
sorry, it would be this, but just on a smaller scale, on an individual, you know. So you do this technique on all the petals, you
Mhm.
know, and that's how you kind of form a full painting. It's just you keep doing the same technique, but just like um, on each kind of thing. So then it all forms a fully formed kind of flower, you know.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
So how I would finish this off is just continue to do the same thing. So I'm going to, this area is a bit too wet still to add pigment on because it just doesn't settle because it's too wet.
Yeah.
So I will just keep adding more depth into this area here
Mhm.
and this area here. And I'll add more of a apricot kind of color with the mix I'm using into here. So it begins to form more of a curve shape. So if that's darker there, then this area here is going to pop forward and then this area is going to sit back. Like that, you know? So it's just creating the form, really. That's and then once that's done, it will be finished. But paper's a bit too wet right now.
Okay. All right. Great. Yeah, because we may not be able to have you finish completely then with the wetness of the like waiting for it to dry and everything. So, but thank you so much, Gianluca, for your advice, your sharing of your philosophy in life and creativity and art. I really enjoyed our conversation today. And then watching you, bring this little rose petal to life too has been really amazing to watch and learned a lot too. Um, yeah, so I know there's a lot of love for you in the chat here. So I'll post a couple more links for the last time so that we cover all our bases. I posted the survey link, which just allows you to fill it out if you have a minute to spare and let me and Gianluca know how we're doing, what we can do better, what you would like to see more of, if you would like to see Gianluca back, maybe a different flower or something in the future.
No TED talk or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Whatever you'd like to, or if you just want to give us shout outs and kudos, we definitely appreciate that too. Validation is always great. And then last but not least, the mini workshop link there. We'd love to get as many people as possible in the mini workshop. I'm sure you would, you know, any flower fans or botanical fans or anybody that you think would benefit so much from Gianluca's process and techniques and teaching, please share that link to everyone that you know who would love it. All right. And thank you, everybody in the chat. It was such a beautiful chat. Everybody chiming in and contributing were all so nice and so wonderful. And I know it's really early in some parts of the States here. So we definitely really appreciate you taking the time and, spending an hour with us this morning. And thank you for being okay with my cat, who is very noisy today. Yes, and then back to you, Gianluca. Again, thanks so much. I'm gonna go ahead and end the live, but yeah, if you want to say anything else to anybody today.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone. Feel free to message me on Instagram if you have any questions. I'm so excited to connect with you all and create a space where people can paint in an empowered way. Like, we can all do it. So if you have questions, just message me on Instagram and sign up to the other workshop. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. And it's
Awesome.
easy, right? So you can all do it.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Gianluca. All right, goodbye, everybody. See you around for the next Etchr demo and workshop. We'll see you around.